Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome to another edition of eHeroes. Now, today I want you guys to stick around and actually listen to this whole podcast because if you're feeling stuck, unfulfilled, or disconnected, my next guest is going to show you how to live a happy, fulfilled life. So I want you guys to welcome Melissa Lynn. And Melissa, thank you for being here and helping us understand this journey.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rob, so much for having me.
Now, you've had your own fantastic journey, and I guess that's what
Mhm.
kind of helped transition you from, into the coaching arena.
Mhm.
Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So my journey started with me just desperately trying to become healthy. And through that process, I lost 115 pounds. And really, it was, I thought that becoming a certain weight or looking a certain way was the destination to happiness. And it was through this process and through this journey that I really learned that really it has nothing to do with how you look and the number on the scale. Everything is internal. So my process was really learning how to eat properly and getting healthy, and then I still wasn't happy. And through that process I decided I need to figure out what's going on in my mind. It's mind body connection. And so I dove into getting my certifications in coaching, certified life coach, certified success coach, also, nutrition health coach. And that's when it really, like, the whole picture became very clear to me. If you're not happy inside and if you don't love yourself, anything external, it absolutely doesn't matter.
hmm I spent a couple years helping a weight loss doctor with his marketing, and a lot of the people that would come in there, they were shedding all this weight, and it was great to
Mhm.
see the successes. But it was I think one of the underlying things that I saw was that they were doing it for the wrong reasons. They were doing it, and a lot of them, that would come in, they would transform their lives, and they would lose all this weight, and they'd be thinner, and then they say, well, my husband or my wife didn't support
Right.
me, so now I'm going to get a divorce.
Yeah.
So they never really took care of the problem.
Right. Yeah. It's I went with my coaching. It's like a hamster wheel. You're on this perpetual cycle of chasing the next thing that's going to make you happy. And that's how I was. Being perfectly honest, that's how I was for many years. I thought it was my weight.
Mhm.
I never once wanted to look at the state of my marriage. I didn't want to look at the things that happened to me, in my childhood or in my past. And so for me, it was, I comforted myself with food. And through that process, I just gained weight and gained weight and gained weight. You know, for me, the light switch moment came. I saw a picture of myself at my niece's wedding. I was sitting with my kids, and it was like, oh my gosh, like, who is this woman? Like, I didn't even recognize myself. And that was the moment. I think that we all kind of have a moment that, is that that just kind of jump starts you, that gets you going. And that was it for me. And it wasn't even my weight. Like, believe me, my weight was over the top, but I was so sad. Like, there was just no, nobody behind the face. And for me, that was a start. And I really just learned, like, you've got to do it for the right reasons. You've got to be doing it for yourself. You've got to want to really dive deep, and it's not easy. It absolutely isn't easy. And, I'm like some of those clients that you were talking about. I did it by myself. I didn't really have the support of, my then husband. Um, and that's what fueled me more. I knew that something else was the issue, and I had to uncover what that was.
And I think that for most people, it's that mindset. You have to be able to be willing to do it for you for the right
Right.
reasons, and sure, an accountability partner really helps,
Mhm.
but you have to have one that actually supports you doing this, and not just going hurrah,
Yeah.
because that doesn't work.
Right.
You have to have that emotional connection and say, hey, I I'm supporting you. I'm behind you. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And that's what you're doing as a coach. You're there holding their hand. You're there every step of the way.
Right. It's so interesting. I've really learned that accountability is great. We all need it. And for many people, it can't be a loved one. Like it can't be somebody who's going to only be the cheerleader. It has to be somebody who can, speak the truth to you and call you on your BS and really point out where you're not showing up. And, because we're good at lying to ourselves. And if you don't have somebody who really, isn't afraid to say, hey, I invite you to take a look at this, and how does this sit with you? It's that's what puts you in, I guess, in the next level. Like that's what puts you, in a different game where you're able to reach the milestones or the levels that you're looking to achieve.
Yeah. I mean, but you did the weight loss without surgery. You did it day
Yeah,
by day. And
day
so
by day.
you had to have some type of steps in mind, or some type of regiment that you did every single day to get you to that
Mhm.
goal of losing that weight.
Yes. So it was very, definitely one day at a time. I started with exercising. So I was, an athlete in high school. I was super active, super, you know, always on the go. And then I had children, and women, we tend to put ourselves last. I was a mother first. I was a wife first. I was a business owner first. Like everything was before me. So it was once I started like pulling myself off the couch, and it was difficult. I couldn't run any longer. I had gained so much weight that I was walking on my treadmill, and it was walking for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and every day just pushing it. And then from there it was, gosh, I'd love to run a half marathon. And that was my goal. That's what fueled the majority of my weight loss, was really being able to like stand in my truth on stage and say, I was, obese, morbidly obese. And I went from this person, and I completed a half marathon in San Francisco, and it was absolutely amazing. So for me, like I chase dreams, I chase goals. I'm very goal oriented. And that's how I did it. And through that process, I had to learn how to eat. I had to learn how to properly fuel my body and what that looked like. So I decided, there's no better way than learning food. So I went and got my certifications in nutrition and health. And then from there it was like, okay, like what's going on in my mind, because I'm still not happy. I was the thinnest I've ever been, and I had just completed this marathon, and I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable.
Now, those goals that you mentioned, is that something that you teach, your clients on how to do, whether it be big goals or small goals? You got to learn how to crush them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's the motivation and the driving factor, I think, is different for everybody. With my clients, we really tap into what is that thing for them. What does their ideal life look like? What does their dream life look like? If you can dream it, you can achieve it. And
Mhm.
so it's really tapping into what that looks like for them. And then it's like chunking it down. Like, it seems so overwhelming when you're first getting started. I knew I had to lose over 100 pounds. And like, how in the heck am I going to do this? But it's just, chunking it down to bite size, things that are easily digested. And then from there, you celebrate your wins along the way. And, then you can crush anything.
Yeah, I mean, I never was one of those big believers in developing a 1 year plan or a 5 year plan, or even
Right.
a 10 year plan. I always do week by week, because for me it's a lot easier to see the big picture, to formulate what I needed to do in that small period of time. And for me to look at it going, oh my God, that's 3 years from now.
Right.
I'm not going to do anything. But if I
Right.
say I need to accomplish this in 7 days, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that way for most people. I think, of course, I have year plans and 5 year plans. I don't follow those, though. I follow every week. Everything can change. You get thrown obstacles. For me, I've had this whole plan in place, and business is rocking and everything was great. And then COVID hits, and
Hmm.
then I get diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And it was like, oh my gosh, being a single mom, it was like, this wasn't in my plan for sure. And It's being able to figure out, when those things happen, really, connecting in with who you are and what you want in life and how are you going to achieve that, and showing up for yourself first, and then everything else just falls into place. It doesn't happen overnight.
Right. It's, and for me, everything has to be a balance.
Yeah.
When you're putting one thing first, or this thing first, or even yourself first, something else is going to suffer.
Right.
And as an entrepreneur, it's hard to balance because you're working, sometimes 16 hours a day.
Right.
And
Hmm.
for me, owning my first business, I owned that for almost 20 years, and it took a toll on my kids. It took a toll on my relationships, and I mean my wife, and everything else, my family.
Hmm.
And then when I started this publishing company and consulting business, I looked at all the things that I did wrong and kind of adapted.
Right.
And my younger kids are going, well, this is great. We get to spend time with dad. And my older kids are going, yeah, right. Yeah. We didn't get to do any of that stuff.
Right.
So, there you have to look at the whole thing and say, okay, I can't put 16 hours into the business because my family needs
Right.
me too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I think that a lot of people think, oh, entrepreneurs, you work from home, you've got it so easy. I've worked, the longest days working for myself. It's funny, like in the dating realm, people are like, what do you like to do for fun? And I'm like,
I like
what
to
do I
work.
do for fun? It's like everything seems to be work. And I do believe in a good balance, work life balance. But I think that a lot of times, it's fun for me to be in development with my business. I'm very creative. I love to spend time, on the drawing board. What does it look like? What's the next thing going to be? And how do you put those things into place? And then spending time with my kids and being able to show up and be the mom, and be a leader in my home. And it's definitely a challenge at times, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
And one of the things I think that has taught the world right now, going through this pandemic,
Mhm.
is that there is no normal. Normal for anybody is what you make it, and we're all going to get thrown off our
Mhm.
courses and our goals and whatnot. But if you can at least continue to do a little bit of what that should have been each and every day, you're going to lose the weight. You're going to build your business. You're going to do. But I think people just get sidetracked. They say, "Well, you know, COVID is," and it becomes that excuse.
Right. Yeah. I absolutely, for many years, I was the victim always. I loved the victim seat. I loved being able to sit there and complain. And it's so funny now as a coach, when I'm selecting clients that I'm going to work with, I work with high achievers and go-getters. I don't like to babysit.
Right.
It's one of those things that you have got to make that decision that you want a better life, that you deserve a better life, and you know that it's out there for you, and you're going to do what it takes to get there. And that's it's definitely a choice. I really believe it's a choice, and those people who choose that now's the time, it doesn't matter what the circumstances are in the world. It doesn't matter if there's a pandemic or, all of the race stuff that's going on. There's so many things, but they show it for themselves, and they know that they hold their future in their hands, and they're able to then like create and develop what that looks like.
Yeah. So you took all this stuff, and then you started going out in the world.
Yeah.
How did people react to you being a coach?
Oh my gosh, that is a great question. At first it was like, who is this person, and why does she, why does she think that she has anything to share? I, for the longest time, I had a hard time coaching. I definitely, I had all of this knowledge to share, and I had all of this stuff, and it really wasn't being received well. And I say that because being a female in this industry, it can be difficult at times. And, I was really dealing with trying to determine, are these colleagues, are they wanting to collaborate for business? or do they know that, I'm single and I just wrote this book and now they want to, they're trying to get in my inbox for a date. And it was very, very difficult in the beginning. But now, like, I love it. My clients come to me organically. I don't do any sort of, like, published marketing or paid or anything like that. It's all word of mouth. And, you know, I absolutely love it.
Now you had mentioned high achievers and so you've kind of niched it a little bit. So you're very selective in who you do business with now.
Yes, very much so. I I do a lot of work with athletes, a lot of like business executives. One of my biggest things that I do, so I've got two things that I really focus in on. One is codependency and people pleasing. I am forever going to be a recovering people pleaser. I spent most of my life being miserable because of that, that one reason. And then also, I've really focused in on relationship aspects. So I've got this program from the boardroom to the bedroom, and it's creating dynamic relationships. So when I'm working with professional athletes or CEOs and executives, that they dominate the court, they dominate that conference room. But when you leave work, when you put that aside, do you have anything else to speak for in your private life? So it's really being able to bridge the gap between the two and having those relationships. And it's not just romantic relationships. It's relationships with family and friends and being able to build business. Every athlete is an entrepreneur themselves. And so there's this whole dynamic there that I've really focused in on. But with that being said, my heart project is working with women in battered women's shelters.
Mhm.
And I do a lot of sponsorships with that. And I sponsor kids and I do a lot of coaching that's pro bono. And, being able to do my work with, my high achieving clients has really allowed me to then fall into my heart project. So between the two, I feel like, I'm doing everything that I was called to do.
And I think you hit on something there because there's a lot of people out there that don't know who their prime client is. They don't charge enough when they are selecting clients, and at the end of the day, they don't have any money or they don't have any extra time or resources to go out and help a charity of their choice.
Right.
So what you've done is you've allowed your primary business to support your passion projects, which
Yeah.
then everybody wins.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I get asked a lot of times, why do you coach? And the funny thing is it's actually pretty selfish. I coach because it makes me feel good. It really makes me feel good to be able to help other people and to be able to see them achieve what they're, looking to achieve. And then there's that other side. I was once, a victim of domestic violence, and I was there. I can connect with women in those shelters and I see their children, and I know that that could have been my kids, and so it's being able to put those two together. And it's so funny, I coach to help others, but really, I coach for myself. I coach because that's what I need to fill up my cup and to, in a sense, put myself first. It's so funny, but that's exactly what I'm doing.
I love coaching my clients. Now, a lot of my clients are lawyers and doctors, and it didn't always be, it wasn't always that way. I my first real business, I call it, is I owned a carpet cleaning business for almost 20 years. So
Okay.
when I started coaching, a lot of my clients were carpet cleaners. Well, I just wanted to get out of cleaning altogether. But although I still tell my clients that I'm cleaning up after them because I'm redoing their marketing, redoing their website, redoing write their books and redoing their whole image and authority. But lawyers and doctors have always kind of gravitated to me only because I don't take their bullshit. You know, I'm not a people pleaser. I don't say yes. I'm not a yes man. I tell them, how I think things are, and it's just my personality.
Yeah.
And but there are a lot of people that are like yourself that came in and they want to please everybody, and I just found that that's exhausting. I can't do that. Um, and if I used to do that a lot in my carpet cleaning business, only because the majority of my clients were women, and And after a while, I couldn't take it anymore. You know, I the whole people pleasing thing just didn't wasn't working for me. So I just said, "This is not. I got to be me. I got to be,
Okay.
this grouchy persona that I put out there, and people were gravitating towards me, and I'm
Yeah.
like, but here's the thing: is that when I can be me, I can eliminate 99% of the pain in the asses right off the bat, and select that one true type person or client that's going to pay me more, that's going to, give me a reason to keep doing what I'm doing, and it's going to feel good.
Yeah, it's so true. I feel like, when as coaches, when we are being ourselves and we're showing up, authentically, we are going to repel those that aren't meant to be, working with us, and we're going to attract those that are supposed to be here. And I absolutely feel the same way. It's so interesting, this people pleasing thing. It's for the longest time I didn't quite understand it, but then people pleasing is actually very, very selfish. And so, people think, like, I used to think, well, I don't want to hurt, I don't want to hurt his feelings, or I don't want to hurt their feelings. It has really nothing to do with the other person. And you're doing it for yourself. You're doing
Right.
it because you don't want to be uncomfortable. You don't, it's all about internally. And so, yeah, one day I was like, you know what, screw this. Like, this isn't getting me anywhere. And yeah, I have had to do a lot of work with it, though. I feel like within my family structure, and then in business, in the very early, days of business, it was really, really difficult. But now I don't really have that problem anymore.
Now you have kind of a guidebook. It's called your 5 steps. How
Mhm.
do people get that? I mean, and what's in it for them to read it?
Yeah, so the 5-step guide it's offered free off of my website. So if you go to melissalynncoaching.com, it's right there on the homepage. You can go ahead and opt in to get that. I recommend everybody do that. It's got some actionable steps right away that you can take to, get on the road to living your best life.
Awesome. And so it's pretty easy read. It take a few minutes,
Yeah.
and they're going to gain some magical insight, or is it?
Yeah, so it's the 5-step process that I really developed through my own journey and through, the clients that I've worked with. And it breaks down every step, and within those steps there's some tools to, stop, basically, like, stop doing this, start doing this. I invite everybody to look at things differently. It really is about mindset. It's about changing the way you're showing up in your life and the way you show up for yourself. So yeah, it definitely is an easy read, and they would get immediate results.
So what, if someone's on a loss challenge, or even on their own journey, what are some words of encouragement?
Oh, that's a great one. Believe in yourself. That's the biggest thing. Believe that anything's possible. Don't give up. My biggest thing was stop. If you want to achieve something, stop stopping.
Right.
It's every time you stop, you have to start again. And so it's this process. Having a bad day doesn't mean that you're starting over. It's a bad day is a bad day. A bad meal is a bad meal. And I hate the word bad, because I think that food is just food and calories are just calories. Everything's in balance. So
Right.
it's really just, sticking to the course, and, know that you're capable of achieving anything.
For all those that are listening, I want you to understand that it's not just about, your physical weight, but also your business weight, because
Mhm.
in your business, you're carrying on a lot of baggage that you're bringing in. You're bringing in all kinds of stuff from your employees, your customers, everything. Anything that does not serve you, get rid of it.
Yeah. Like you said, it's the physical, it's the emotional weight. Like, honestly, that's the biggest weight we carry around. We carry around, you can imagine a backpack. Every event that has happened in our life, we toss it into our backpack and we carry it along with us. And so it is extremely exhausting. It's, every decision we make, we are kind of scanning the things in our backpack to see how those impacted us, and we're making decisions from there. And so when you really go through a full transformation, you are releasing the weight, is really just the byproduct of getting healthy. And when it starts from the inside out, it's really clearing up your mind, and it is releasing the things that no longer serve you. It is cutting ties with people that aren't serving you, and the weight just starts to fall off from there.
And as on your website, you kind of awaken your inner badass. I mean,
Yeah.
you become leaner. You become, I think, and for me, it was, I was seeing people as who they are, and those that gave me crap when I was, not as lean,
Mhm.
weren't a customer I really wanted anyway.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
wanted those that supported me. I wanted those that that thought that I was cool,
Mhm.
and those are the ones that I resonated better with.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I love that saying, to awaken your inner badass. We are all badasses. We all have that in us, and to be able to tap into that every single day and to live from that spot, your life will be so, your life is just so different. And it's realizing that we all wake up and we have bad days. We all wake up and we're not feeling like ourselves, but ultimately it's a choice. It's a choice to, okay, I'm not feeling right. Like, check back in. What do you need in that moment? Is it putting away the cell phone? Is it staying off of social media? Is it taking a break and going out into nature? It's realizing that every day is an opportunity to reconnect to that part of us. And sometimes for me, like, in full transparency, I have to reconnect a couple of times because, as coaches, I can sometimes take on my clients stuff, and you're in it with them, and you're going through it, and you feel for them. But then also the call ends, and it's being able to then, disconnect and realize that, that's their life, this is my life, and reconnecting to, that badass person and being able to move forward.
so everyone out there, if you feel that Melissa resonates with you, get on her website and click on the button to get a complimentary strategy call and learn how to live your best life. And I'm sure that Melissa will help you along the way, and you'll become a great client of hers. And just looking at some of the testimonials on her site, I mean, she's doing some fabulous work with some amazing people. So go to melissalinncoaching.com, and you know if you like this video or this podcast, join us on the other ones. I mean, there's almost 100 of them out there. So we'll catch you on the next one, and thank you, Melissa, for being here, and we'll see you guys later.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.